Maker got 2 games. Okay, both are pretty good. But what about Kirby Maker? Yep, Nintendo's lovable pink puffball. What games will be represented, and what types of enemies? I think for enemies, you'd have basically all of your basic copy abilities are in every game. So sword, beam, cutter, ice, fire, all of those. Okay, I know beam is not in Forgotten Land, but yeah, you also have bomb, all like the iconic abilities. But there'll be in all game styles but one. And I'll get to that one in a minute. So today we talk about all Kirby games that should be represented. So we'll be going over all Kirby styles. So first game is Kirby's Dreamland. Obviously, being the first game in the entire series, I think should be represented. It's the first game in the series, and also since you can make levels in various themes. So you have a forest theme, you have a cave theme, you have all the themes basically, your desert theme and stuff like that. I think they'll start with like 5 or 6 total themes. Okay. And of course the King Deity Castle theme. Okay. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So Kirby's Dreamland will be the first one. And unlike all the other Kirby games, Kirby's Dreamland does not have any copy abilities. Maybe you could add it to it, but so we can keep it like Kirby's Dreamland, it will kind of be like Mario 3D World, where it's totally different as well. All the enemies will still stay, but there'll be no copy abilities. Which will basically make, and also since he can make higher levels and stuff like that, it'll probably be the one for basically people who want to have a hard experience playing a Kirby game. And make, levels are very hard. Okay. As well. Next game, I think that should be represented is Kirby's Return to Dreamland. There's actually a whole, and actually this is also including Kirby Style Allies, Kirby Planet Robobot, and Kirby Triple Deluxe. Why? Because all of the games use the same style. And I think they'll probably use Kirby Style Allies, but basically the formula that is used in Kirby Return to Dreamland, that art style will be used. I think the most likely ones are just going to stick with Style Allies because it's the most recent Kirby game in that style. Now let's get to the Game Boy Kirby game. Game Boy / DS Kirby games. And the last, and of course, we have, we're not going to talk about Superstar Ultra, which is that's a remake of Kirby Superstar, which we'll talk about that one later. But the only other Kirby game that released on the DS that isn't a spin-off is Kirby Squeak Squad. Or you can just use Amazing Mirror. Both games basically have the same exact art style. Basically. They both have the same art style. Basically. And, you can basically just use it. Either this one or Kirby's and Amazing Mirror. Because they both use basically the same pixelated art style. Basically. Here. And you'll just have the same art style used. And I think this is my favorite Kirby. I think I like the Game Boy Kirby's art style the best out of all like the older Kirby games. It just looks so, and yeah. It would be pretty fun to have a Kirby art style that would be in the vein of the GBA/DS days. So yeah. The last game I think would be included for the first one is Kirby be Superstar. Yep, the first NES one as well. So instead of using the remake of Kirby Superstar, we'll just use the original game as it represent the SNES and early console games. There's also Kirby's Dreamland 2 and 3 and Kirby 64. And also you can include the newest game in the franchise. Kind of like how 3D World is in Mario. There is one bonus game, World Including Forgotten Land, but instead it'll be in a 2D format. And it'll basically be like the Mario 3D World art style. Forgotten Land is such a different game from all the other Kirby games. And of course, it can include the mouthful modes as well in the Kirby game, in this art style, as they're completely unique to it as well. So yeah, and also you can play multiplayer as well. Well, and also, unlike Mario, you can also play as. And I'll also make it where you can have a Meta Knight mode and a King Dedede mode and Banana Wild D mode. You can play as Kirby, Banana Wild D, King Dedede, or Meta Knight in all of the game modes. Yep, that means you'll get to see, Game Boy Meta Knight. Yep. And also, you get to play as King Dedede. You also get to fight them, so you can have Meta Knight fight himself as well. And also a lot of the iconic bosses such as Rift Speedwoods and, Meta Knight and King Dedede will also be able to be fought in the game. And also some more iconic, and also the Beast Pack will be in the Forgotten Land one. And there'll be some characters that will be in the older art styles such as Mox and Magawar, and the Squeaks, which will be a good representation of bosses in the game. And I think it would be a pretty cool idea for Nintendo to do. Because Kirby is the other big platform that Nintendo owns. Another good idea is Nintendo should make a Pokemon game where you can edit your own areas, but that will take much more work than making a Kirby game. That's like that. But I think if Nintendo wants to make another experimental game, they should just say, let's make it, instead of, we make our game, you make the game for us. They can also have a world map as well and create your own worlds as well. Well. And for a sequel, I would probably add more bosses, probably add Kirby 64 as a mode, and probably add whatever the newest Kirby game is. And of course, add more bosses and enemies and abilities to the game and more art styles. Basically, I would stick to the classic art styles. So you have basically a King Dedede castle theme. You have the plains, grassland art style. You have the ice world art style, which is in the water Kirby games. You have the water area. And also, unlike Mario Maker, water areas can be in a part of a level. And unlike Mario Maker as well, you can basically make up to 10 sub areas as well. Since Kirby games, in 2D Kirby games, you can do that. You can have up to various sub areas as well. Which will make the games much more complex than Mario levels. Because Kirby games are much more complex than Mario levels. And you'd fill the levels full of enemies as well. And, that would be basically Kirby Maker. Another game that could get this treatment would be Sonic. But the problem is Sonic is such a messy series. Kirby will be much more easier to do. Another franchise you can do this with is Donkey Kong Country. But you'd really only have two styles, basically. Donkey Kong Country's Returns and the original Donkey Kong Country. But Donkey Kong Country would also be another interesting idea, where you can fight King K. Rool, the Tikis, and of course, Kremlin's King K. Rool, the Tikis, and of course, the Ice Guys and Tropical Freeze as well. So, that would be a pretty interesting one as well. That's Donkey Kong Country series. But I think Kirby will be another series that could get them make a treatment, considering how old the Kirby series is. And that's basically about this video. Goodbye. Oh yeah, and also they are based off Kirby style allies and Kirby Superstar. You can of course make partners in those games. However, in all game modes you can make partners. Yep, all of them. They can either be controlled by the CPU or second player. Of course, partners cannot be created if there's already 4 players playing. So keep that in mind. That's basically about this video. Goodbye.